Honorable Men Discord. Let's talk Carmelo Anthony and the updates. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So, what is the latest news with Carmelo Anthony? First and foremost, before I get into that, for those of you that don't know who Carmelo Anthony is, he is the student athlete that received 35 years for the loss of life, what was deemed the murder of another fellow student athlete by the name of Austin Metcalf. And this took place at a track meet in Texas, all right? On June 9th, as you can see, what I have up on the side, that's when he was found guilty and he received his 35-year sentence. Since then, he has asked for legal aid in appealing that decision, and legal aid was provided. A team assembled on his behalf, and this is the team. All right, the team is led by attorney Russell Wilson II. The high-profile defense team also includes Gary Bledsoe, who is a Texas NAACP president, Michael L. Ware, Brooke Cluse, who's associated with Ben Crump and his law firm, Sean Deridia, and Justin A. Moore. All right. Now, they were able to, since they assembled, they were able to get the original judge, John Roach Jr., off that potential new trial, which is what they're seeking. And it was due to what is listed here: impartiality, concerns following post-trial media comments, setting up hearings for a potential new trial. So we won't be seeing Judge Roach Jr. again. I think they're looking at this as a victory. Is it a victory? Potentially. Here's the thing. I believe he had mentioned that he was going to retire anyway after this particular case. So I don't see how, in my personal opinion, I don't see how it's much of a victory. I don't think he would have considered coming back for a new trial anyway. I could be wrong in saying that, but I mean, okay. Now, what's the updates? So let me just exit this out. All right, I'm going to start with Fox News, and the reason why I'm starting with Fox News is because on this channel, I try my best not to be biased, because if I'm biased, then is that good journalism? And the funny thing about that is I don't have a journalism background, all right? But the professionals that do are so biased, and this is why I'm starting with Fox News. Now, is this a clip from Fox News? Possibly. But I'm going to play this clip, and I'm going to speak about the fact that there's some bias in this clip, all right? So let's get straight to this clip, and then I'm going to explain how there's potential bias, all right? So let's get to it.
John, today we are hearing a lot of new evidence that was never made public during the trial, including details of what investigators found on Carmelo Anthony's phone and why it is that they believe he took a knife to this track meet last year in April. During opening statements, prosecutors revealed Anthony had a documented pattern of obsession with knives and guns. In one text message, Anthony allegedly fantasized about stabbing someone, writing, "When I stab somebody, I'm going to lick their blood off the blade." Prosecutors say they also have numerous examples of Anthony's desire to start fights and to be in fights, and they argue that's what he went to the track meet to do that day. The reason none of that came out at trial is that the defense and prosecution had what they're describing as a gentleman's agreement, an off-the-record understanding that neither side would go into character evidence, including allegations of violence and bullying by Austin Metcalf. Instead, both sides would focus on what happened under the tent the day of the stabbing. The defense now argues that Anthony chose not to testify in his own defense because at the last minute of the trial, prosecutors reversed course and told them if Anthony takes the stand, it would violate their agreement and open the door to all of those character issues being brought out. That agreement is a key part of the defense's argument as to why it is that Anthony deserves a new trial. And that's something we're going to continue to hear a lot more about through the rest of today and possibly into tomorrow. John?
I would assume if he gets a new trial, all of the stuff that was presented in court today would probably be admissible, yeah?
Yeah, it absolutely. Prosecutors have already said that's part of the reason both sides agreed to this deal is because they didn't want to further enrage this public debate that was happening outside, where this was really, they felt, throwing gas onto an already big fire if they brought out a lot of these character attacks. Of course, going forward to the next trial, that agreement would not be in place, and all of this would be fair game. Prosecutors have said they would have brought all of this up if it weren't for that agreement.
Well, it's all out there now. Garrett Tenney for us in McKinney. Thanks, Garrett.
Yeah, John, today we are here.
All right, I take that back. So they did mention the bullying aspect associated with the Metcalf brothers. So although he ran through it when he said that, if you didn't catch it, you may not have known that he mentioned the fact that there's character flaws on both Carmelo Anthony and the brothers. All right. But from this report, at first listen, it seemed as though when I say he, Garrett Tenney for Fox News, it seems as though he was more focused on Carmelo Anthony. So I take that back. He mentioned that there was bullying involved with the Metcalf twins. Now, what I will say is, I'm going to start by saying this. It's clear that neither Carmelo Anthony or the Metcalf twins were perfect. So neither one of them are flawless, which is why both his counsel as well as representation for Austin Metcalf and the Metcalf family decided to have that gentleman's agreement to leave that out because it wasn't going to be favorable for either side. Now, you can only imagine just how much flaws the twins had if the twins counsel even decided to go with that agreement, because their job is to make sure that Carmelo goes to jail, which they succeeded even with that information being left out. They succeeded. He got 35 years. But now, as what was just mentioned in this news report, if in fact Carmelo Anthony's new legal team, led by the attorney, if now they are successful at having a retrial, that information will be set into place. Now, I came across some videos where a lot of people are saying Carmelo Anthony's cooked because of that information. But the odd thing about all of this is that it's also been said that these text messages and the things that he said to his girlfriend. His girlfriend is still with him. His girlfriend allegedly was sitting in the courtroom with his family. So I don't know how strong of evidence that would be if his girlfriend's still with him. At the time when he was 17, he said those things to her in a text message allegedly. And at that time, it doesn't appear like that information is going to work in his favor because it sets the tone for his mental state during the morning of that track event, and it could potentially jam him up. But at the same time, if his girlfriend is still with him now, I don't know how strong it is. Now, maybe one has nothing to do with another. So I'm no expert in that field. So maybe the fact that his girlfriend is still with him has nothing to do with that day in question. And maybe the focus is solely going to be on that day in question, and it has nothing to do with whether or not his girlfriend has decided to still stay with him throughout this whole hearing and these events, him going to jail. They may focus just on that day, and if that's the case, I think that it's going to play against Carmelo Anthony. I'm just going to call it like it is. I don't think it's going to be favorable for the court to have to hear that he was exchanging those type of rhetoric with his girlfriend. And, I think at best what he could hope for is that she would take the stand and clear it up and say favorable things about him to help, I guess, cancel out whatever he said in the text messages. Now, with that being said, speaking on the twins now, this this young lady is speaking on some of the things that was revealed about the twins. So I'm going to get into this and I'm going to speak on my thoughts on what she had to say.
Guys, we finally got to see what Austin and his brother Hunter were like. Carmelo Anthony's former lawyer, Mike Howard, got to take the stand, and he was able to testify in the motion for Carmelo Anthony's new trial. He revealed details about Austin and Hunter's background that never made it to trial. And here's just a couple of things. They were documented several times using racial slurs, like the N-word. Austin was accused in 2023 of bullying a black student. During an argument in 2024 with a female student, Austin allegedly pushed her to the ground and kicked her in her stomach. That sounds like a swell guy. Austin and his brother Hunter caught spraying graffiti on a wall that said KKK will unalive all black folks along with the N-word. They received 12 months of juvenile probation for that. Now imagine if that was put out during the first trial and Carmelo Anthony would have taken the stand. Now, if you're looking for any of this information, the Public Opinion Court on IG has it all. She was there inside the court. Now, here's the most important thing to watch out for. Retired Judge Michael Chitty has a small deadline. Since Austin was sentenced on June 9th, Texas has a 75-day deadline, which means the new trial motion must be resolved by August the 24th. That's in 4 days. If Judge Chitty does not grant a new trial, by then the motion will be denied. So here's the recap. Carmelo Anthony's team won their first motion and got Judge John Roach removed from post-trial proceedings. Now we have 4 days for the retired judge to decide if Carmelo Anthony deserves a second chance at trial. If there wasn't a time to say a prayer for this young black man, the time is now. Well, guys, we finally got...
I didn't realize it was crunch time. 4 days. As of this recording now, I guess it's down to 3 days. Because that was yesterday that this motion was deliberated. So, question is, do you think he's going to get a retrial? I really don't know, honestly. I really don't know. Would I like to see a retrial? I'd like to see a retrial. I would hope he would get less years. I know some people would say, oh, why does he deserve less years? He took a life. Because he's saying it was self-defense. That's why. That's why I would hope he would get less years. And it's up for the attorneys to prove that it wasn't self-defense. We need to hear everything, including the fact that he texts what he texts to his girlfriend. If we're gonna do it, if we're gonna be fair about it, we have to hear everything. I want to hear about that. I want to hear it in depth. I want to hear what she has to say about those messages. I wanted to confirm whether or not those messages are true. But I also want to hear about the character flaws from the twins. I want to hear it all. And I would like for the for if there is a retrial, I would like for the news media to have access to the courtroom so that we, the people, would have the ability to hear what's going on a day-to-day basis if we get to that point, if there is a retrial. I don't like how this one was. It seemed like they ran through this case. They went as far as, I believe, having a court on a Saturday just so they could wrap it up. They just wanted to get him on the bus and sent off, which is exactly what they did. Within hours, his head was completely shaven, and he received a sentence of 35 years. I just think that there was something odd about that whole process. And there's been people that during that time when that sentence was deliberated and it was given to him, there's been gentlemen that posted videos saying that it usually doesn't work out that fast. But for some reason in this case, they just wanted it to be over with. All right, so we'll see.
Come off between the attorneys in the motion for retrial with Carmelo Anthony. What we are seeing is extremely disturbing, and it's on both sides. But one of the most concerning purported facts of character evidence that was left off the table in the jury trial that came from the state is this headline right here. Bill Werski, the lead prosecutor, claims that he has evidence. It came from Carmelo Anthony's phone, according to Werski, that Anthony not only fantasized about stabbing someone, he goes a step further to claim that Anthony fantasized about licking the blood off of the blade of a knife that he wanted to use to stab someone. He claims that he was obsessed with knives and that he had a delinquent history and issues when it came to fighting. Now, on the flip side, there's a whole bunch of purported negative evidence coming out against Austin Metcalf in the form of character evidence. It appears that the defense had knowledge that Austin Metcalf was a bully, that he was somebody who was aggressive. This is what they are alleging they have evidence of. And that a gentleman's agreement was used, something I've never heard of, and something I really can't comprehend when it comes to strategy based on what the defense is presenting, that a gentleman's agreement was utilized so that the character evidence could not come out between both sides in trial. However, the character evidence that the defense claims exist when it comes to Austin Metcalf is something that could be tied to a self-defense claim, right? If somebody has a history of being a bully and aggressive and was in fact being a bully and aggressive that day, it would at least be something you want to utilize in a self-defense claim. The fact that it was all left off the table and not utilized is part of their claim that Carmelo Anthony should get a new trial, that this wasn't fair. Obviously, we are seeing a whole lot of new information, and I don't know. Carmelo Anthony might get a new trial. What do y'all think? Hit the comments. Let me know if you think all this new information warrants Carmelo Anthony getting a new trial. The gloves have come off between the attorneys.
All right, now, after hearing what he had to say, I don't know about a retrial. If he has a retrial, I don't really know what the verdict's going to be because it's horrible on both sides. It really is horrible on both sides. There's no way to sugarcoat this. I know some channels probably will sugarcoat it in favor of Carmelo Anthony. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I mean, what this gentleman is saying is those things, those unfavorable things that Carmelo himself expressed on his own phone, that's not going to help him. It's really not going to help him. I mean, he has a strong legal team on his side, so anything is possible. But, but then, like he said, on both sides, character flaws on both sides. It's like the irony in this whole case. It's like, young men, young boys, both with character flaws, clashed at a track meet. You could say, what's the odds of that? I don't know what the odds are. Maybe this whole case is deeper than any of us could imagine. But you got a group of boys, twins, particularly Austin, I guess was the bully, or were both of them bullies, I don't know. But to have that character flaw and that history of being a bully, that would completely explain what could have happened underneath the tent. That track record. Now, Carmelo, now on the other hand, and what he was saying through his own phone in the text message, it doesn't sound good. To hear it it's cringeworthy, and I don't really know where this is going to go at this point. I really don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if this is going to work in his favor to have a retrial. I don't know. But, when you have a strong legal team, they could figure out ways to, I guess, find a new way to present him, to explain that he's not the person that he made himself out to be through the text messages. I don't know. I really don't know. This is not good. I could see why they on both sides decided to do a gentleman agreement and leave it out. It's just not good for either side.
View it as a win. That's okay. They have every right to view it as a win. I mean, technically, yes, they got the judge recused. Okay. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see if they're still celebrating tomorrow, because if he's granted a new trial, he can get more years. I have no idea what the defense is going to throw up for their reasons
make
for a
sense.
new trial.
It don't make sense.
To me,
it don't
it
make sense.
still doesn't matter. It doesn't change the facts. The facts are the facts. We had 35 witnesses last time. We only had to use 21.
You know, this is painful to watch. This really is, because you have black activists that's trying to make a name for themselves, like Ben Crump. You have people like that are out there still trying to manipulate the media and believing that this boy Carmelo Anthony deserves a second chance, a new trial, because there's some racism going on. What? This is 2026, not freaking 1912. Stop it. Just stop it. You all are creating pain, not for this family. And, you know, the fact that the parents, which is the ones that you all really need to be protesting against, still have not come out publicly to say, you know what? We feel sorry for Jeff losing his son. There's no sympathy there. There's no freaking sympathy there. And that's how black folks are. I'll be honest with you. That's how black folks are. There's no sympathy. Most black folks are very angry. Angry for no reason. Angry at the wrong person. What they really should be angry is the ones that raised them. Oh, stop it. Stop it. We know the truth. If you a black person, if you a millennial, right, and a Gen X, right, you know exactly why you dysfunctional right now. It's a generation thing that's passed on. You want to know the truth? The truth is this. That boy parents installed this hatred, anger towards white folks. That is what happened. And because let's be honest. If this was another black kid, they probably would have wrestled a little bit, talk a little bit of garbage, maybe threw some bows a little bit, did a little tussling on the pavement, and that's it. Neither side of the parents would have had no problem. But because this is a white boy, he been taught his entire life, oh, don't let a white man talk down on you. Oh. That's what happened.
All right. It appears that Officer Tatum has an ally, because his talking points sound like something that would come from Officer Tatum. Maybe he didn't get the news report that I just played. He didn't get the update, but there's character flaws on both sides, sir. Not just Carmelo Anthony. And you advocated for twins that have a history of bullying. Furthermore, if you go back to the what this woman had to say, and she got her information from someone that was on site, that had their so to speak boots on the ground. There's a history on that side, on the Metcalf side, of bullying, as well as racial slurs, as well as the assault on a female. So they're not squeaky clean. Now, this is not condoning the loss of life. I've said this several times on the other episodes that I've covered this. I'm not condoning the loss of life. In a perfect world, it wouldn't have ended this way. It would have just been a fight, a scuffle. But there's character flaws on both sides. So to defend the Metcalf twins as though they didn't have a history is a little bit ignorant on your behalf. Now, in saying that, it's funny. This is why I said you seem like a distant relative or ally of Officer Tatum. It's funny we're talking about Carmelo's parents needing to, I guess, reach out and give their condolences to the Metcalf family. I think that's a solid thing to do. First of all, let me just say that it is solid to give condolences to a family that lost a child. But you brought up that this is 2026. Have you not watched the news and what's going on in Mississippi with the Nolan Wells case? His mother, his father aren't necessarily, since the loss of their son's life from July 4th, they're not exactly getting a warm welcome from Mississippi. In fact, they're getting the mother, in particular, is getting harassed, and there's been attempts to get her fired from her job as a nurse. All right, and I don't remember any of the so-called quote-unquote friends parents reaching out to the to her for condolences. At least publicly, there's been nothing said. Now, maybe that has changed within the last few days, but immediately when this story broke in Mississippi with Nolan Wells, I don't believe there was any type of condolences from the quote unquote friends that were on the boat with Nolan Wells. I don't think their family reached out to Nolan's parents and gave condolences. So it's amazing to me when I see black men get on social media and chuck and jive from lopsided information. All right? Right is right, wrong is wrong. I'm not saying that you, just because you're black and brown, you should be siding with Carmelo Anthony. I said it. I said it from the beginning of this episode. There's unfavorable things from both sides. They both have character flaws, which is great. I would love to see a retrial with them mentioning the fact that they both have character flaws. Neither one of them are perfect. One lost his life behind maybe his history of his character flaw. And I'm not condoning it, but I mean, his character flaw, if it was in fact bullying, that could have potentially been part of the motivation or the reason why it placed him underneath the tent in the confrontation. It sets the tone for the confrontation between him and Carmelo. And Carmelo saying on his phone that through text message that he, his fascination with knives and things like that, that's not good either. None of it is good. But again, without me being too long-winded, this guy, you clearly haven't been following what's going on in Mississippi. One other thing to note, and I don't want to go too much off of Carmelo Anthony and lose my train of thought. Aside from the Nolan Wells case in Mississippi that you probably you're unaware of because you think that it's 2026 and black people need to get their things together because of how they were raised. That's what you concluded in saying. Just understand this too. For those Officer Tatum-like individuals that are out there or that are watching this episode, have you ever heard a news report say white person was hanging from a tree? Have you ever heard a news report where you heard that an Asian person was hanging from a tree? An Indian person was hanging from a tree? And I'm not talking about in another country. So don't bring up that forest, I think that was in Japan, where there was some Japanese individuals that were found in the forest hanging from a tree. I'm talking about here in the United States. All right? Because that is 2026 news, sir. All right? That's 2026 news. So to act as though black people need to get their stuff together as a black person yourself, you sound like a complete idiot. You sound like a complete idiot. All right? But I'd like to stick to this Carmelo Anthony case without losing my train of thought. But I did decide to play your episode. I mean, I'm sorry, not your episode. I decided to play your video because I don't want this to be a biased episode on my behalf where I'm only playing things favorable to Carmelo Anthony. I'm going to play perspectives from everybody. All right? Those that are completely in the belief that the time that he received was justified. There's some people in the comment section, from what I was seeing, that hope that this retrial gives him more time. They want to see him with life. And I cover all of that. I'm covering all of that because at the end of the day, if there is a retrial, I want to hear everything. I don't want any information left out. This way I can make a clear decision on my thoughts on what's a fair verdict, in my opinion. All right, my personal opinion on what I think. Right now, from hearing this, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know where this is going to go, but it just shows that the irony of young men with this type of thinking, they clash. They clash on that day. You have one that's probably used to kicking people out of areas, and then you have one who may have emotional issues that he needed to deal with that he never dealt with, because I don't understand the situation with the knife. I can't relate to that I don't get it. I need to know more information about that. So I'd like to hear more about Carmelo and his fascination with knives. All right.
Chitty, chitty, bang, bang. They have brought Judge Michael Chitty, retired judge from Kaufman County District Court, 422nd District. He was sworn in, given the job in 2004 by then Governor Rick Perry. He has helped in the community with drug rehabilitation. He believes in rehabilitation, y'all. I've done my research on him. He is a Republican. He is fair. He does go by the book, but he is for justice. Just like I said, Sid Harrell was. So, Judge Michael Chitty is out of retirement, and he is going to be hearing the case of a new trial and the evidence for Carmelo Anthony. Chitty, chitty, bang.
All right, I'm going to just end by saying this. Until hearing the information about Carmelo Anthony and what was found on his phone through text message, I'm not sure a retrial is going to work out in his favor. Again, he has a strong legal team led by Russell Wilson. But that's a tough one. That's a tough one to explain. What will be different in a new trial? Would Carmelo take the stand? Will he not take the stand? What will be different that would position him in a better situation than he's in right now? I don't know. All right. Again, they're also going to disclose everything about the twins. But does that justify the loss of life? I don't know. We have to go through the trial and hear all the details. You know, the first trial, all the witnesses were completely against Carmelo with their testimony. And I don't know what changes in this one. Do they bring back the same people who testified? How does that work? How does that work? I don't know what to think about this. But again, I'm just going to continue to say that the messages that Carmelo had on his phone it's not looking good for him. And if you think differently, let me know in the comment section. I don't think it looks good for him. It doesn't sound good to hear. And I don't see how they get around that. What is your thoughts on all this? I don't want to make this too long of an episode because I know there's going to be more information by the time this actually drops. Actually, by the time this drops, there should be more information that was received today on the possibility of a new hearing. So maybe I'll do another episode on this to talk about what was said today. But that's my thoughts on what was said yesterday. And I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I don't know what to think about this at all. I don't know where this is going. But he's exercising his right to seek an appeal. So that's about all I can say on this. So the people that are upset that he actually sought an appeal, I think that's ridiculous. That's within his rights as a citizen of the United States. All right, and he's just exercising it. So that's my thoughts on this. But listen, as always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.